Hey there guys, it's Joey. No makeup, enjoy. Curly hair. Woo. So this is my sort of end of 2013 video. I'm gonna kind of dedicate it to Blythe because she did one, and there's a whole lot of that, getting that ball rolling with something else that we're going to talk about a little bit in a minute. So I'm going to dedicate it to Blythe, as well as a couple of other ladies. I'm going to talk about that as well in a minute. So, end of 2013. I'm just going to chit chat about how I feel about it, how I have been feeling about it, and how that has actually shifted for me, and the reasons why in the end. So, to begin with, I was feeling kind of apathetic, and that's, you know, it's not a good thing, and I don't think a lot of people are often admit it, but you know, they just feel a bit about the whole thing, and I felt like that about the whole thing for a number of reasons. There's been a few problems over the last few weeks. It's left me a bit drained, a few health problems which have left me a little bit drained. Obviously Christmas is a weird time of year for me, and it throws up a lot of things, you know, like what families actually are, what families are supposed to be, who people you think you can trust within a family perspective and you can't. Ooh. So it's always a little bit stressful. And coming to the end of 2013, originally I felt quite apathetic because in my head I was like, well, Samhain's my new year, and is it really that big of a deal? And then, really, the turning point was Nadia. And Nadia shared some stuff with me and was talking to me and in general, and it was about this topic. And I realised that, you know, I was letting my past sort of overwhelm where I am and make me feel lethargic and apathetic and all the rest of it. I felt quite apathetic as well because I'd put on a lot of the weight that I had lost. You can't see in this little frame, nor do I want you to, but I have, and basically that could have gone one of two ways. I could have just sunk into depression about it and just probably comfort ate and got bigger, or start taking steps before the Christmas period was over and the New Year period was over to adjust, whereby I'm still trying to enjoy myself a little bit and not completely write off everything we have to eat in the house, but cut severely back on a lot of things. So for example, I'm not eating very much of the cheese because that's such a high calorie thing. And when Nadia talked to me about these things, it started to sort of sink in a little bit that, you know, if you're going to take action, if you're going to become who you want to be, if you're going to walk that road, if you're going to push yourself the way that you need to push yourself, because we all do, then you need to shake this apathy off. It's literally just shake it off, get rid of it, push forward, no matter how that path is going to lead into. And Nadia and Blythe, both in their own way, sort of encouraged me to be part of the group that's going on, and that is such a breath of fresh air in there. It's incredibly different and positive and has these really positive female role models and positive female, for the most part, female energy. Really opening up to other women, you know, rather than it being cliquey or there being some underhanded stuff. It's a really positive space, and I'm just like, I think that was the sort of space that I needed to discover and sort of have the universe pushing. I'd heard mentions of this book and this workbook to sort of work through 2014 and make it a more positive year in a lot of ways, and I'd been a bit like I'd just been a little bit apathetic, kind of a little bit ignoring the universe a little bit. And when I suddenly realised, you know, that's what I was doing, I was like, you know what, let's do it, let's embrace it full-heartedly. And just, I might not be the most vocal person there because I'm going through one of my quiet periods where I just, you know, rest and go and heal before I cycle through. But that's no reason not to take part and be a part of something bigger, of that positive energy movement that I had so hoped to find. And when I realised, you know, you've been looking for this, you've been saying this for a number of weeks, like there's all this bleh going on, we really need to clean this funk off, we need to embrace things. I've been saying that for a few weeks now, and when I realised, you know, this is an answer and you're not taking note, then more for you. And then I realised, you know, you need to take part in something positive and orderly and structured that is actually going to engage you and push you. I do that on a sort of basis with my Ogams at the minute, but that's very singular, very solitary, and I think that community space is going to help pushing forward. And as I sort of sat here and thought, what am I going to say about 2013, because I was trying to like recall, and a lot of it is huge blanks because it's been such a negative year and there's been a lot of difficulty. It's not really a negative year, it's probably not fair. I mean, it's been a challenging time, and following the path of the Morrigan often is, and as a result, you know, I've had my healing, dark goddess healing stuff. I've been going through the very sort of shadow work side of things, sort of confronting who I used to be, who I thought I was going to be, with the change and the challenge and the ripping apart part, and then who I am and who I want to be, and the progressing parts. And sort of this year has been a lot about realising how to best handle myself and to deal with parts of myself which I don't like and feel the need to evolve, because some parts of me I think aren't as evolved as they could be, and I think, you know, that's true of everybody. And pushing, there's been a lot this year. If I had to say this year has been anything, it's about challenging of perception. I have to listen to my instincts more and realise that, you know, just because I perceive the world a certain way and I think that something is a certain way, other people aren't going to think that something's a certain way. And I went through a very, very painful process of realising that just because I live my life to a certain honour code doesn't mean that a lot of people will. You know, I dislike certain things and other people don't see that as a problem, and that grates against my sense of honour. And I've come to realise that, you know, you just can't hold people by how you hold yourself, because people view the world in different ways. They don't always agree, they don't see the same things as a problem, or the same things as a good thing, or the same things as a bad thing. And it's just learning to move past things that have hurt you or disappointed you or haven't turned out the way you hoped they would, or things like that. And then there's been an element of feeling this year in particular, having my personal space, my creativity, my self, trying to differentiate what is actually attack versus, you know, and theft versus whatever, and the intentions behind people and things like that. And, you know, it's been a really awkward year for a lot of reasons. I've been struggling with keeping distance from family members that basically I chose at the beginning of 2013 to walk away from because of the actions of said people. And in a lot of circumstances I can do it, you know. I don't have anything to do with my father, and I never will. And I've not having anything to do with my mother either, and these things are not going to change. And I've finally reached a place where I've come to the point where I understand that that's alright. You know, that family isn't necessarily the people you were born to, particularly if they have behaved in such a manner which is destructive to you, abusive to you over a number of years, and those patterns never change. And people, you know, you hear a lot of people, "Oh, they're your family, you should just forgive them and get on with it." And it took me a long time to really come to understand that, you know, that's not necessarily what's best. Sometimes we need to just walk away from things that are truly damaging to us as a person, you know. And I struggled with that throughout 2013. I've struggled throughout that for a long time. I carried guilt with me from doing it for a long time. Pity and guilt crept into these things, and the problem is those people, those parents in particular, they know that and they manipulate that on purpose. So yeah. And then in a lot of other ways, 2013 has been about the expansion of who I thought I would be. I'm a lot more creatively inclined and creating my own path and creating my own sort of business sense through my creativity, which is something I didn't really ever expect to be, because I was always, and still am to a large degree, a sort of intellectual person. I'm books first, arty later. You know, growing up I was never particularly creative. I was never encouraged to be creative. In fact, I was told I wasn't creative, apart from in sort of intellectual pursuits. And so this year has been very much about me realising that my relationship with the divine can come into my creativity, and my creativity can become part and parcel of who I am on a mundane level, you know, on a prosperity business sense level, as well as being more than that to me. It's something that I considered to be my baby. It's growing and I'm proud of it, and I try to do that with a sense of reverence, that no matter, you know, what people are looking for, what people need help with, is something that I can then go and help through these things while still being able to sustain myself. And that I hope to expand in 2014. It's not going to be too much of that sort of what I want for 2014 in all manners of speaking, because I want to make a video tomorrow once the book has arrived and I've gone through that tomorrow, and really embrace that for that group. But I thought, you know, we can have a little natter a little bit about 2013, because I just wondered if anybody else had been feeling a little bit tired, perhaps because of the holiday period, and a little bit apathetic about 2014. I've never been a huge New Year person anyway, and I always put it down to a number of factors. One, Halloween is far more of a new year to me than this is, even when I'm embracing it in a positive sense, you know. And January, every year I try and make January about a year, because the problem is there's a lot of really horrific life stuff happens in January. So I'm hoping this year we can sort of shift that out once and for all. We really do. So I guess I'm trying to learn to not put myself in a psychological state of mind where I realize, you know, I'm remembering all these things in January and then that feeds into a negativity cycle. I don't want that this year. So then I'm making this video to sort of boom, and then I will make the video tomorrow, and maybe more than one, when the book comes, and I'm going to probably get through the book and not all the first exercises and stuff. Although I am thinking about those things already, because I know what some people have listed and things, and I'm allowing that in my head but not putting it down on paper until I've looked at the book and decided how I want to do it. Oop. So yeah. So tomorrow being New Year's Eve, I think what I will do tomorrow, and I've seen it recommended on a lot of places on Facebook, and I was planning on doing it anyway, but is a big burning ritual. I think Blythe mentioned that as well, and So I'll probably, you know, write a few things down and just burn it all out and get rid of it. Send it to the smoke